Hi, everybody. My name is Todd Creager. What I do is I help couples heal from infidelity and other crises. I also help couples rekindle passion to have more aliveness in their relationships. I also help individuals heal from trauma, and I help individuals who have been in a rut in terms of relationships find ways to attract more nurturing partners. That's what I spend much of my work time doing. What I have found with a lot of my clients, however, is that one of the challenges they have, whether the symptoms present as health problems, relationship problems, or emotional issues, that it has to do with they are overwhelmed and busy. And they're giving, or they're working, and there's not enough time for them. So the title of this video is 7 self-care tips for busy and overwhelmed people. A lot of people come in busy and overwhelmed. So I am going to give you 7 life-changing tips that you could do without restructuring your entire life, because I know that's not always a viable thing to do. Sometimes just people have to work a lot. Sometimes they have situations where parents are ill and they have to work and stay with their parents. Sometimes they have sick children. Things happen in our lives, and we get overwhelmed, and we get stressed. But what if we could do things that can make a huge difference in our life and still be the productive, caring people that we need to be? So self-care tip number 1, breathe in and breathe out. And you do it this way. You breathe into your belly, not your chest. Hold it for a second and then pause and exhale all the way out. And then pause and breathe in again. Now, what I would recommend you do is put one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, and take a deep breath in and notice which hand moves. If it's your top hand, the hand on your chest, you're doing a breath that actually increases stress. If you think about it, if you're walking down the street and a car almost hits you, what are you going to do? Right? We high in our chest, we hold our breath. That's the stress breath. It's telling our body we're in peril and we need to do everything we can to do a fight or flight maneuver. The problem is that much of the day we're living our lives like we're about to get hit by a car, and we're not getting, it's just because we wonder if our boss is going to be happy with what we've done today or something like that. So we need to just focus on breathing, even while we're working. A minute to stop and notice your breath. And you could practice breathing into the belly rather than the chest. It's like, imagine that this is a balloon. This is the neck of the balloon, and then below you is the bottom of the balloon, and that you are blowing up the body of the balloon, not the neck of the balloon. That's not how balloons get blown up. Sort of like that. Takes a little practice. Be patient. Many of us have practiced stress breathing for decades. So we want to practice. When you were a little baby and when you were a young child, you breathe the right way. But at some point, we learn to adapt and have these stress breaths. So that's something you can do anytime. It's my number 1 self-care tip, because you're always breathing. Now you want to breathe in a way that tells the rest of your body, it's okay, I'm safe, everything's okay. Tip number 2 is drop your agenda for 1 whole minute every hour. What I mean by that is we always have an agenda. We're trying to change things, we're trying to control things, we're trying to prevent a problem from happening. And almost all of us can afford 1 minute to stop and just drop our agenda. Practice not doing anything. Practice not controlling or changing anything. Just let everything be. Just drop. Don't change anything. I guarantee you that when that minute is up, your life is not falling apart. And you could take up your agenda in that next minute. But what you've done is you've experienced life just being, even for that minute. So for the busy and overwhelmed person, you could afford a minute every hour. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this. If you take that minute to stop, you will gain more than a minute somehow. That's what happens when we take care of ourselves. We gain time because we think clearer, we don't get sick as much. Many, many reasons why taking minutes to take care of ourselves gives us time. Number 3, self-care tip number 3 for the busy and overwhelmed person, utilize your senses. tune into what's happening through your senses in that very moment. Notice if you're sitting, the pressure of the chair on your buttocks, just to notice, just to be aware of it. Notice the sounds. I hear geese from the duck pond right now as I'm speaking. And just to notice it, tune in. Now I'm not staying there because I'm here talking to you, but if I was having one of those moments, I would just stop and sit and just be taking in the sounds of the geese or the sounds of the water fountain. So you could use any sense, the auditory sense, visual sense. What do you see around you? What do you notice? I talked about the kinesthetic sense. You know, what do you feel on your buttocks or on your feet if you're standing? What are you smelling? And if you're eating, taste your food. What are you tasting? Just utilize your senses to tune in to what is happening. That gets you out of your head where we live way too much of our time and into our bodies. Number 4, do what I call a self-compassion break from time to time. It just takes a few minutes. You might just say to yourself, where am I hurting emotionally? Where is there some pain in me? Or where am I hurting physically? And notice that part of your body where there's a painful emotion or a painful sensation, and just notice it. And that's first of all, just being aware of it is self-compassionate. It's like being with a child who's hurting. You're being with that part of you. Just be with it. Don't try to change it. Just notice it. Just notice it. And then what you want to do is recognize that suffering is a part of life. Pain is a part of life. And you're part of humanity. And don't judge yourself for having whatever it is you're experiencing. That is a part of life. And then lastly, think of some kind phrase you could say to yourself. Maybe, may I be kind to myself. May I be compassionate towards myself. May I have peace. May I be healthy. Just take that time out to be kind to yourself. It's such a simple thing. It's such a simple thing. I've talked about it in a previous video, how being kind to yourself can lead you to be kinder to your partner or other people in general. But today I'm just talking about you, being kind to you. Self-care tip number 5, cut out one thing or more every day that doesn't nurture you. Think about that. There's probably something you can do that you cut out and fill it in with something that nurtures you. Be willing to sacrifice, even money. I know for me, I have put a cap on how many clients I'll see in a day. I didn't always do that. Maybe I'll lose money in the short term, but I'll tell you something, if I'm healthier and I feel good about me, I'm gaining money in the long term. I'm being a better therapist, I live longer. There's so many ways it helps. So you want to be willing to look at what it is that you could cut out so that in its place you could do something that nurtures your heart, your body, your soul, your mind. Self-care tip number 6, exercise or move for only a 5-minute commitment if you're that busy. If you feel like you're too busy to work out or exercise for 30 minutes or for an hour, then do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes does amazing things. And then after 5 minutes, you have the prerogative to choose to renew that for another 5 minutes. It's like renewing a library book. You renew another 5 minutes of exercise, if you choose, but you don't have to. You're only going 5 minutes at a time. That's very, very important. You're not obligated to go beyond the 5. It gives you a mindset where I could do that, and it's a way of taking care of yourself. And research shows that even 5 minutes of moving that makes a big difference in your biology and your neurochemistry. So enjoy the 5 minutes. The 7th and last tip I have for you in this video is do anything to lift your spirits for no reason, such as the things that I can think of is smiling, even if you fake it. Skip. You cannot be depressed when you're skipping. You can't be stressed when you're skipping. Sing a happy song, dance a happy dance. Do something like that. Skipping, smiling, dancing, singing, and don't wait to have something to celebrate. Just celebrate just because you can. So those are my 7 self-care tips for the busy and overwhelmed person. Please click on the link that is definitely important for you. It's a meditation experience that I have recorded that you can download. It's a self-care, self-compassionate 10-minute meditation. So go for it and be kind to yourself. You'll be less stressed and less overwhelmed. This is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.